Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. Just thought I'd return to you for a soundtrack review this afternoon time, like close to mid-afternoon, for Nine Inch Nails' Tron Ares original motion picture soundtrack for this review. So I'm going to discuss from the 24 tracks I listened to for this almost hour and 7 minutes of a release and let you know my thoughts on each song as I listen to it. So let's dive into this soundtrack review. Now, like I said, it's a soundtrack review, but I will count it as something I'll put as an end of the year listing on that end of the year list video. I just don't know where it's going to stand, but you'll know at the end of the review what I rate it. So, in it is the first track, and it's overall a pretty strong track. Interesting production for sure. It's just like a instrumentation electronic song, so it's solid. So 5 out of 5 for this one. Forked Reality is another one that's like a minute and 50 seconds, but it does well with the execution, so I dig it in its own way. So 5 out of 5. Then we get to As Alive as You Need Me to Be, which has the lead singer from Nine Inch Nails singing this track, and it overall did pretty well in its own way. This track, wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this one, but I did have a few critiques with this track, with how the lead singer was singing it from Nine Inch Nails, but overall it did alright for how it sounded, so production and mixing was pretty solid. 4.75 out of 5. Echoes is just 3 minutes and 46 seconds of a track, and it overall panned out alright. So it's another 4.75 out of 5. It's just electronic work and a lot of instrumentation in this track, so it's a solid 4.75 out of 5. This Changes Everything is another electronic instrumental track, and it does alright for how it sounds. So another 4.75 out of 5. It's like 2 minutes and 58 seconds, I believe, but it overall executes in a way where the production and the electronic work in this pan out alright, so yeah. In the Images of is another pretty safe track. It's very short of a track. There's a lot of 1 minute songs to 2 minute songs. The longest tracks are like the 5 minute songs, which we'll talk about the one that I think is the shortest. But yeah, it's a minute and 33 seconds, and it overall did alright for the execution, so 4.75 out of 5. Then we get to I Know You Can Feel It, which is an average track. I wasn't a fan of this one, but I wasn't saying it was terrible. I just think with certain moments with the execution and all that, for how it sounds for the lead singer singing and just the production and mixing, does averagely. So 3.5 out of 5 for I Know You Can Feel It. It is a lengthy track, but it overall was average at best. Permanence is the next song, and that's another minute and 28 second track. It did alright for how it sounded. Very short too, as a instrumental electronic track. So a lot of these songs are a lot of interludes and all that stuff, and part of the soundtrack to the Tron Ares movie that drops October 10th. But overall, Permanence is a 4.75 out of 5. Infiltrator is a pretty good song in its own way. For 2 minutes and 47 seconds of an electronic instrumental track, it did alright for how it sounded. So 4.75 out of 5. 100% Expendable is another one that I had a few critiques about. This one, I didn't necessarily hate it, but I wouldn't say it's the best thing I've heard. But it keeps the record flowing in its own way for the soundtrack. So 4.75 out of 5. And you get to Still Remains, which is another one that I had a few critiques about. It's going to get a 4.75 out of 5. This one was a short track too, under 2 minutes, and it did alright for the electronics and the instrumentation in it as an interlude electronic track. So 4.75 out of 5. Who Wants to Live Forever is the most disappointing and boring song on this record, on this soundtrack, and I'd give it a 2.75 out of 5. I was very displeased and disappointed with this track for how it sounded, so not a fan of this one. And the girl singing after the guy from Nine Inch Nails is singing, it's cringy. It's so dull, and just this song is very lifeless and doesn't really go anywhere. It really does not go anywhere for 5 minutes and 50 seconds, so you're in for a very disappointing track. So 2.75 out of 5 for the new Who Wants to Live Forever track. Building Better Worlds is a pretty good song in its own way for what it goes for 2 minutes and 11 seconds. He did alright as an instrumental electronic track, so another 4.75 out of 5. Target Identified is another soundtrack electronic song that I think is alright. So 4.75 out of 5 for this one too. It's 3 minutes and 23 seconds, but it did alright for the execution. So Demonize is the next track, and that's a 4.75 out of 5. It is 5 minutes and 9 seconds. I thought there was going to be singing in this track from Nine Inch Nails, but I was kind of let down a little bit. But I think the production in it is alright. So yeah, 4.75 out of 5. Empathetic Response. Yeah, Empathetic Response is another 4.75 out of 5. It's a very short track. It's only like 2 minutes and 8 seconds, but it does alright for the execution, for the production and mixing, for the electronics. So 4.75 out of 5 for this one. What Have You Done is a theme song to what the movie's going to present itself when you listen to this soundtrack and watch the movie as well. That comes out in 3 weeks actually. So basically it's a 4.75 out of 5 for What Have You Done. A Question of Trust is another one that I think is pretty good in its own way. I'd give it a 4.75 out of 5, only a minute and 20 seconds. You get through this really quickly, so it's alright. 4.75 out of 5. Ghost in the Machine is another one that I think is short interlude electronic track that does alright as a soundtrack interlude. So 4.75 out of 5. The production in it's pretty interesting, and overall it executed alright. No Going Back is a 4.75 out of 5. Another short one too, minute and 54 seconds, but it did alright for how it sounded. So yeah, it's a 4.75 out of 5. Nemesis is another one that is another short track, a minute and 44 seconds, but as a soundtrack interlude and basically a part of the movie as well that you're going to be watching on October 10th. It did alright for the execution, so 4.75 out of 5. New Directive is a 2 minute and 44 second track, and it overall was just a lot of electronics in this, and for how it sounded, it did alright. So 4.75 out of 5. Out in the World is only a minute and 5 seconds, so you get through this pretty quickly. And it did alright, so another 4.75 out of 5 for this one. And finally, the last track, Shadow Over Me, is a pretty good song in its own way. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this because of the way the Nine Inch Nails lead singer was singing it. You can remind me in the comment section below what his name is, because I was looking into them, but I forgot to go into the personnel section of the band. But overall, Shadow Over Me is a 4.75 out of 5. Did have interesting moments in the track, and I dig it for how it sounds. I mean, granted, it's not the best song, but it's not the worst track I've heard. The way the lead singer from Nine Inch Nails sings it has its cringy points, but it does all right for how it executed. 4.75 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I think this Nine Inch Nails Tron Ares original motion picture soundtrack for this review is meh. It's not really memorable, but it's not the worst thing I've heard this year. I thought it was going to be the worst thing I heard, but for what I listened to, it's just a meh release. Not anything I would recommend checking out, but give it a shot for yourself to see what you think of it. Maybe there'll be some people that'll like it, maybe there'll be some people that think it's just mediocre or very meh. So it's going to be on my okay to meh albums of 2025 by the end of the year, and if I were to give Nine Inch Nails Tron Ares original motion picture soundtrack review a score, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It's a little weaker than the Bad Wolves Die About It release that I did for the deluxe edition review last night, which I hope you enjoyed it, because I did the best I could to make it as good as possible. But this one just had weird production and all that, and the only song that really brought the rating down exponentially was Who Wants to Live Forever. That song was boring. I was so disappointed with that track. I was like, this is the most boring Nine Inch Nails song that I've heard. And I was very displeased with that track. So yeah, the production in this does pretty well, but there are some execution moments where the production doesn't do very well. Give me a second, I gotta pause the video. Sorry about that, guys. My mom's summoning me right now, so I'm gonna have to wrap this review up. And I'm sorry for pausing the video as well. So, yeah, 6 out of 10 for Nine Inch Nails Tron Ares for this original motion picture soundtrack review. I hope you enjoyed this review this mid-afternoon, and thank you guys for watching. You guys, I will see you in the Cardi B Am I the Drama album review pretty soon, but until then, thanks for watching.